So, hey guys, and today we're back with another movie review. And this time it is the Angry Birds movie, which was released in 2016 and was based on the Angry Birds games. And another one of those average animation films by Sony. Anyways, let's begin the review. Okay, so now let's start the review with the Angry Birds themselves. None of them are actually angry except for Red, but that's okay since every character is different and that is kind of good. I love how they have different specialities, just like in the game. This movie used the powers correctly and it was spot on. Bomb was a lazy guy who exploded whenever he got angry, just like in the game. Chuck is the fastest one of them all. Terrence is just big and doesn't talk. And of course, Red's speciality is that he doesn't have any speciality except for anger. However, I have one question. If only Red is angry, then why are all of them in the anger management class? I can see the case for Bomb and Terrence, but what about Chuck? How is he angry? He was never angry in the entire movie. Okay, so now let's talk about the mighty eagle. Just like in the games, there's a legend in this movie too that whenever the bird island needs help, the mighty eagle arrives and all. The scenes where Red, Chuck, Bomb and Red, Chuck and Bomb climbed the wrong mountain was pretty boring, but then came a fantastic scene that cured all of my boredom. The Lake of Wisdom scene was just so funny and just so awesome. The funniest scene of 2016 for me. However, I'm not a big fan of Mighty Eagle being portrayed as a lazy guy who does nothing. I wanted to see him as the hero like he was in the game, not like he's portrayed in this movie. Okay, so now let's come to the pigs. Here's where the movie gets really inaccurate from the game. They made the king pig Leonard or something and made the chef pig a fool. Chef pig was my favorite pig from the games because he was the cleverest pig out there, but he became nothing but a foolish sidekick in this movie. That's sad. Leonard is like the mixture of King Pig and Chef Pig from the games. He's evil and has a great plan to capture the eggs, but foolish at the same time. They didn't even give enough screen time to the foreman pig or mustache pig, and also they didn't even show us the corporal pig. Really disappointing since they didn't even pay enough attention to the beloved pigs from the Angry Birds franchise. Okay, so the animation here is excellent. Sony may not have the best animated movies, but the animation is just so good. The birds felt so realistic and they are so detailed. Just look at the feathers from each of the characters. Really good. They animated Terence and Stella very nicely. And also the animation of the sky of the bird island was just so bright and I loved it. The animation is great. The animation really shines when Chuck breaks into the pig castle and his feathers are all mashed up and stuff, and then you realize how much detail they have actually put into the animation. Okay, so now let's talk about the final scene. After the pigs manage to steal the eggs from Bird Island with their fabulous plan, the birds plan to take their revenge and use a slingshot to reach and attack Pig City. I really love how everyone uses their powers. My favorite one was when Bubbles turned into a giant round bird and destroyed a small amount of Pig City. Then Red himself went inside the castle, followed by Chuck and Bomb. Mighty Eagle also came to the rescue after Red gave the Mighty Eagle helping cry, and then this movie turns into a full-on fun, action-packed popcorn movie. It was great when Mighty Eagle was being chased by the pigs in planes, and also in the palace, Red and Leonard the pig were having the final battle in the basement of the pig castle, which was filled with TNTs. It's pretty foolish of Leonard to keep so many explosives right under his own castle, and Red takes advantage of that foolishness and destroys the pig city with that. He survived by being in that giant pot, which is clever and not possible at the same time. Okay, so now let's compare how well this movie adapted from the games. I really like how they added hands and legs in the movie version because that was pretty clever. But what I hated was that they did the same thing with the games after this movie got released. In the games, they do not suit with hands and legs, just like they would not suit with no hands and legs in the movie. The movie also told us about how pigs stole the eggs in the first place, and that was a pretty that was pretty good and one step ahead of the game. Like giving some backstory is really nice. Rating 7 out of 10. Best moment, final scene. So yeah guys, that was it for today. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course subscribe. Because I cannot subscribe myself, but of course you can. So do subscribe and say goodbye.